So you guys have asked for an update from your favorite building surveyor, and I'm here to motherfucking give you what you want. So I'm going to be talking about the changes in my career, my experiences that I've gone through, my APC process, and maybe potentially considering another route down my career. But we're going to dive into all of that today. So if this is something you're interested in, definitely stay tuned for the video.
Feel like a bird, you keeping me happy, you getting me deep. Ask me who my surgeon.
Gotta say word, keep getting me what I'm looking for. I just gotta tell everybody, I don't want to keep it on the low. Goddamn, I love it. I love it. Goddamn, I love it.
Hey guys, what is poppin'? It's your go to my AKT, whatever in the building today, and I'm back with another video. If you're new here, then welcome. On the channel, we talk about everything growing and glowing, including my career. So if that is something that you're interested in, then definitely consider subscribing to the channel. And if you're a returning subscriber, thank you so much for tuning into another one of my videos. I love you to the moon back, as you already know. So let's talk about my career. So I just want to give a quick recap for anyone that is new here. So I am a building surveyor, and I'm not going to lie, my journey into building surveying wasn't so straightforward. However, I do have a dedicated video going into that a lot more deeper if you want to check it out. However, to give you guys a quick summary, I basically started off in health and social care, absolutely hated it, dropped out of university, took a gap year, went back, studied building surveying, and now I am 3 years deep into my career. So again, if you guys want to hear a much deeper explanation of how I actually went through and transitioned from like the healthcare sector into construction, please check out that video. Or leave a comment down below and I will answer any of the questions you have regarding building surveying. So now that you're up to date and you're familiar with myself, let's talk about the changes I've experienced so far. So one of the major changes that I've noticed in my career so far is definitely my confidence, definitely my experience, and definitely my workload. I feel like I'm a lot more confident when it comes to just being a building surveyor in general, when and where to go to when it comes to certain regulations and depending on the project. I feel like I'm a lot more confident with building pathology, which was probably one of my hardest modules that I studied in university. I'm not sure if that's changed. You guys can let me know down in the comments. But building pathology was one of the ones that I took a bit longer to grasp around, and I feel like my job has really helped me to build my confidence in that. So I am a lot more confident. I'm not as shy as I used to be. Even my manager actually said something the other day in the office, and he's like, oh, what happened to quiet shy Twanaldn? She's gone, because I've been in this company for 2 years now. So he has even seen how drastically I have improved in my career. I am now going down the process of my APC. I did delay this because the APC process is not an easy one, and if you guys want a separate video on this, I can dive a lot more into it. But the pass rate, first time pass rate, is 36%. That is less than half, guys. So you need to understand, like, the APC is not a joke. So as much as a lot of people want to get charted, like, I don't believe in rushing it. I want to take my time and really build up my confidence where I feel like, yeah, I'm ready for this. And I feel like, thanks to my manager gassing me up a little bit, that I am going to start that process. He wants to do it in 2 years, which is why I actually love my manager, because he's actually got a lot of confidence in me. It's probably me who's self-sabotaging myself, but I want to give myself 3 years. If I'm being honest, what me and my manager said, we said we'll go for 2-year progress. So that's getting me up to hitting the criterias of a level 2, level 3 building surveyor and start processing my online APC stuff. But obviously, if it gets closer to the 2-year mark and I still feel like I'm not ready, then we will delay it for another year. So that's kind of what we've agreed. So that's like the process so far. I'm nervous because like now I've got like this whole chart. It's all color coded, and I've done like a traffic light system. So red is like what I need to work on ASAP. Amber's like, okay, you're halfway there, but you're not 100%. And then obviously green is like, I'm 100%. And it's so crazy. You don't realize how much stuff you're doing as a chartered building surveyor until you like go through the criteria, and then you don't even notice that it's just secondhand. You're just doing it and you don't even know. Like when me and my manager went through the list, like I couldn't even believe like how much was green. There are a few bits that are red, but the beauty about that as well is now my manager knows what projects to give me so that I can get that experience, so I can start checking off those criterias. So that is the beauty of like doing a traffic light system, because you could really highlight not just to yourself but to your team or your manager, these are the stuff that I need to be working on to ace my APC. When these start coming through the door, can you give them to me? And I feel like that leads on to my next thing that's changed, is the projects that I'm working on. When I started off, I was doing very simple, very entry level condition surveys, contract administrations, and a little bit of contract manager, but I'm now going into a lot more complex stuff, especially more on the design aspects of things. And I feel like I love that. I feel like the route I want to go down in terms of building surveying is definitely the more design aspect kind of thing. I feel like that is my strong point, like going into Revit, AutoCAD, and I thrive off those. However, because building surveyors do so much, there's so much to learn, so I'm indulging in everything. But I love the fact that my job is giving me a lot more projects that suit what I need in order to start ticking off and turning some of those reds into greens. The last thing is, I mentioned in the intro, was a career change. No, I'm not going to run away from construction. No, I'm not. I don't really want to change my career. However, I'm not going to lie to you guys. I have been thinking about it, and I will tell you why. I don't plan on staying in the UK for the rest of my life. And the only countries where a building surveyor is really recognised and is paid good money is Australia and the UK. Everyone else doesn't really recognise building surveyor as a job title. The RS recognises it worldwide. So you will be recognised as a chartered building surveyor worldwide. However, actual people who are actually looking for building surveyors worldwide is very, very low, apart from Australia. And I have no plans to move to Australia. So my thing is, what I'm considering is quantity surveying. However, saying that, even though quantity surveying is recognised in many more countries than a building surveyor, I just don't know if it's for me. Obviously, I need to speak to like colleagues and other people in the industry and kind of do my own investigation. But that is the only reason. I love being a building surveyor. And if building surveyors were recognised worldwide, I would stay in it. However, what I'm also considering is project management, because of the skill set that I have when it comes to building surveying, project management would be a good transfer, because I can still use my technical knowledge as a building surveyor and apply it to the complex jobs that I will be project managing. So again, those are like my options I'm considering, because if I'm going to take my career internationally. So that is the only reason why, guys, I love being a building surveyor. I love my job. I just don't love the UK, and I feel like I could thrive in other countries. However, I'm not going to know until I take that risk and just branch out and see what the world has to offer. So I feel like you guys are going to have questions for me, but definitely leave them down below. There's kind of 3 main days that I could have. So that is an office day, where I go into the office and I do, a lot of it will be admin work. So like writing reports, responding to emails, and even hosting or having meetings with my managers about things. I do have a weekly catch up with one of the senior surveyors who manages all the middle and entry level surveyors. I also have a monthly meeting that's in person in the office as well. And sometimes you just want to be in the office so you can be around colleagues to get that extra help with whatever jobs you have going on. And it's nice to be around people who are in your industry, and it's nice to be around people in general just to get work done. The second typical day would be a working from home day. Very similar to the office day. A lot of it is like admin work and report writing, but it's just in your home. What I have noticed though, when I work from home, I tend to work longer. So I'll work till like 6 o'clock or 6:30, especially if I've got a lot going on. And I'm not gonna lie to you guys, I've got a lot going on. My workload is insane. Like, I was actually so stressed out last week that I couldn't wait to go on annual leave. I've never been so stressed in my life. A lot of my projects were going to shits. A lot of them were having problems. Contractors were giving me issues. Stuff that I needed done was not getting done. I just was so overwhelmed. However, I've gone on holiday, I've come back, and that is probably why you haven't seen me upload for a while. But I needed that break. But going back to what I was saying, working from home, I tend to like work overtime, but I feel like it just comes to the job. Especially when you love what you do, you can easily run over by 30 minutes. That is a choice. I wouldn't tell you to do that. Clock out when you're supposed to clock out. Don't be like me and work the extra 30 minutes or the extra hour. Clock out. Like, do as I say, not as I do. And the last typical day is a on-site day. So on-site can vary. I can be on site all day. I can be on site half a day. I can be on site for 20 minutes. It just depends on the project. So typically how my site days work, if it's a whole day, I'll go a whole day, be on site, I'll go home. If it's a half a day, it will depend on where the location is. If it's somewhere in the London region where I can catch TfL and then go to the office straight after, that's what I will do. However, that is not as common as you would think. A lot of my sites are outside of London, and again, I think I said this in my first video, my company covers anything in the south of England. So I can get shipped Bournemouth, I can shipped to Brighton, I can get shipped to Essex, I can get shipped to Worthing, I can get shipped to Bexhill-on-Sea. It doesn't matter. From when it's in the south of England, I can get sent there. And a lot of my sites are outside of London. So on days like that, I will go to site via car and I will come back to my house, because it's quicker to drive to site, do what I need to do, whether it's a site visit, whether it's a condition survey, whether it's a meeting on site with contractors and the client, it doesn't matter. Whatever the reason is for me to go to site, if it's most likely outside of the London region where TfL is not really the best, 9 times out of 10, I am going to drive. My fuel and food, anything that I need whilst on site, parking, I can get reimbursed every single time, and my reimbursements are every Friday. Same with train tickets. If I buy a national train ticket, if I pay for the underground, overground, it doesn't matter. Whatever I need to get to site, I will be reimbursed for. My company will reimburse me, because it's kind of like going out my way to get to site, which is compulsory to do my job at the end of the day. So that's kind of like the 3 typical days that I will have. And that will kind of bring me on to a question that I get a lot. If you are not someone who likes change and environment consistently, building surveying is not going to be for you. No matter what company you go for, you will be expected to go to some kind of site, whether you're going to a residential house, a commercial property, it doesn't matter. You will be expected to go out in all types of weather, sun, snow, sleet, whatever. You don't have a say. If it's on Tuesday and Tuesday's pissing down with rain, unfortunately, you're gonna have to go. If it's Thursday and it's 32 degrees outside, unfortunately, you're gonna have to go. So if you're someone that likes to go to, like a routine, 9 to 5, go to the office, do your job, go home, building survey's not for you. It's not for you. However, if you are the opposite and you need that change in environment like myself, building surveying is a great option for you. Because looking at this week, for example, okay, Monday I was on annual leave, so it doesn't really count, but Tuesday, today, I was in the office. Wednesday, I'm on site. Thursday, I'm in the office. Friday, I am on site. However, next week, Monday, I'm working from home. Tuesday, I'm on site. Wednesday, I'm in the office. Thursday, I'm in the office. Friday, I'm on site. So do you see how week by week my routine changes? And this will depend on your flexibility in your company, because your company might not offer working from home. Mine does. Your routine, your day-to-day will vary. A day in a building survey, they can get hectic. They can. Especially if you don't manage your projects well, especially if you don't keep on top of things, it can get hectic and it can be overwhelming. However, that's not to scare you, because you know what? I know my followers know what they're doing. I know my followers are clued up. I know you guys want to be building surveys and you want to do your job well, okay? Okay, so let's talk pay and progression. I feel like I'm a bit of an outlier when it comes to pay, because a lot of people when they graduate, and this might have changed, but a lot of people when they graduate, they go into a graduate program, and a lot of graduate programs are like 26k, 27k maybe. Might be a little bit more now. This was back in my day. And me personally, that just doesn't cut it in this society, especially if you're older and you've got a lot of responsibilities and stuff, which is why I believe going for a graduate position instead of a graduate scheme. What's the difference? A scheme is like a program over maybe 2 to 3 years where you are gonna like be a graduate for 2 to 3 years, and there's a whole program that you're gonna go through to give you the experience that you need to get you up to a next level in your career. Whilst that is good, because they'll put you in different sectors, they will make sure you work in different areas, you get different projects, diversity, etc, etc, etc. You potentially maybe stuck on that pay throughout that whole program. I don't know, because I didn't do a graduate program. I've spoken to peers who have done it, and a lot of the time the pay's not the best. The reason why I say go for a graduate position is because you get hired as a normal job. So as a manager in Tesco, like your job will just be a graduate building surveyor. When it comes to those, you will probably look at the 30k mark, the 35k mark, depending on your experience, depending on what they think of you, and etc, etc. Don't be afraid to fight your case, because in my one, I actually was doing, if you guys don't know from my last video, I was doing contracting first. So contracting usually ends up paying a lot more than a permanent job, because you're working in one company for 6 months to assist with the workload, and then you get let go. So again, I was on 40k-ish as a graduate. Yeah, I know, way too high. That is not the average. I was definitely on 40k, 39k, 40k. After that, obviously, I wanted to do my APC. I need a permanent company, someone who's going to pay for it, someone who's going to assist me through it, etc, etc, which is with the company I'm with now. Because of my circumstances, I actually fought for a higher pay, and my company gave it to me. They saw me as an asset, they saw that I was valuable, they wanted me in the company, and I got hired as a graduate building surveyor who was getting paid above average. I started off on 35k and I've gone up every year since. So again, this is not to say don't go for a graduate program. You might be someone that needs to go through that program to really build your career, but they are very, very competitive. So if you want to go through all of that, jump all them hurdles, do like 2-3 interviews, then yeah, definitely go down a graduate program. However, at the end of the day, it's up to you. Do what's best for you. Like, no one else, my experience may influence you, but at the same time, if it's not for you, do what you want to do. I took the risk with contracting because I wasn't getting like any jobs or getting into programs. I'd get very far in the interview, but then they would say, oh, 20, you're too quiet, oh, you didn't engage, oh, and that's just honestly how I am, especially if I'm in an environment surrounded by new people. I'm very, very quiet, apart from when I just talk on the videos to you guys. But I will say, through gaining my experience now, I'm a lot more confident. So if I was to go for a new position, I would know how to navigate through that. That being said, just trust your journey. Trust your journey as a graduate building surveyor. There's no wrong or right answer, but I'm gonna kind of give you guys a little bit of advice. I've had a lot of you message me, and you lot all say the same thing. So I just know that you lot are all going through the same things mentally, and you guys want to ace these interviews. Like, how do I stand out? How do I do this? How do I that? There's no real right or wrong answer, if I'm being honest. But I'm gonna like answer a lot of the FAQs that I have had in this video, so you guys can maybe apply it to your journey as a building surveyor. Okay, so one last thing that I want to kind of touch on in this video before I go into the FAQs is full-time university versus an apprenticeship. If I'm being so honest, if I could go back in time, I would rather do the apprenticeship for 5 years, because my thing is, you come out debt-free and you get experience whilst being on the job. It's all good learning the theory, but like the theory that you learn in university, and once you get into a company that has their own process, their own procedures, their own policies, their own standards of working to things, a lot of the stuff that you've learned cannot even be applied. General stuff like building pathology, absolutely, that's not going to change regardless of where you go. But in terms of like procedures and how they do things, and your job might not even do schedule of conditions, and you've spent 3 years learning about it. Do you know what I mean? So again, being within a company, getting that hands-on experience, you can apply your theory to real life and actually get that experience. And also, you kind of come out a bit more at an advantage than the full-time students, because you've got 5 years under your belt and you have the degree to back it. So if you start looking for jobs now, you can ideally get a higher pay because you've got 5 years under your belt. However, the cons about a lot of these apprenticeships, a lot of them, and if you read the small print or ARCs in your interviews, they expect you, once you finish university, to stay with the company for a certain amount of years. It's kind of for them to get their money's worth, because they have paid for your degree. So you can't leave the company for 2 years or 3 years, for example. So you got to ask yourself if you're willing to take that risk with whatever company you're going for. That doesn't just apply to building surveying apprenticeships. That's quantity surveying, project management. It doesn't matter what it is. Degree apprenticeships, most of the time they're going to expect you to stay after you've graduated from uni for a certain amount of time. So the con is that if you didn't even enjoy the 5 years of being with them, you've still got another 2 years. So again, really, like, when you go to your interviews, really ask them what they can do for you and vice versa. The next thing is, there's not a lot of those degree apprenticeships out there. Very, very competitive. And I've had a lot of you reach out and say, oh, how can I stand out? How can I do this? How can I do that? There's not a lot of them out there, especially for building surveyors. There's more for like quantity surveyors, project managers, but for building surveyors, there's not a lot out there as it stands. So you are going into a very small market. So you need to understand, as much as you might want it, you might not get it. And the next best thing, in my opinion, which is the route that I did, was I did a full-time degree for 3 years. However, I was working in a construction company as a health and safety advisor alongside people like project managers, quantity surveyors, building surveyors. So even though I wasn't doing my role, I was in the niche working alongside them. So if I ever had questions or whatever, I had that access. So that was the best thing that I could do. Yes, it was part-time, and I feel like that is your best option. Even if you can't get into a construction company, look at property management companies as well. A lot of these roles, they work closely with building surveyors, quantity surveyors. So don't think, oh, I just need a building surveyor trainee job or nothing. No, You could be an administrator in a construction company. Like, for example, we have 2 administrators who help us to issue our reports, like look at our diaries when we're on annual leave, schedule stuff in. They even assist with like payment certificates, contracts. They help with a lot of admin stuff that if I'm on site, they can cover. But the knowledge they need, they kind of need a basic knowledge as a building surveyor. So even though they're not building surveyors, the technical knowledge they have, because of the working so closely with myself, they get that experience. Now, if they was to go and apply for a degree apprenticeship, they can say they've worked very closely with building surveyors, which will give them the up. And they can share the knowledge and share what they've worked with, etc, etc. So don't think you need like a building surveyor trainee job in order to gain experience. Anything in the construction/property industry will help, especially if you're working closely with building surveyors. And if you really are interested in building a building surveyor, don't niche yourself down like, oh, if I don't get an apprenticeship, I'm not doing it. No, don't do that. There's other ways you can get that. So now I want to answer some FAQs that a lot of questions that I've been asked on Instagram and TikTok. If I haven't touched on it already, I'm going to touch on it now. And if I haven't touched on it, definitely leave a comment down below and I will respond to you in the comments. Okay, so one of the questions that I had was about specific type of building surveyors. If you want to work with something like heritage or historical buildings or asbestos or whatever, those are very niche down areas of building surveying, and there's no problem with getting into it. However, you got to think as a graduate or as an entry-level building surveyor, you might not be able to tap into that niche straight away because it's so niche. They may need people with loads of experience to get into that role. My advice for you is just go out there, get the experience as a building surveyor anyway, because that knowledge can still be applied no matter you niche down or not. And then ask your company if they do work with historical buildings or asbestos, and if they'll offer you training and all of these kind of things, and if you can have these kind of projects to kind of help give you a great insight into these very niche industries. And once you kind of got that and you've got the experience and maybe you're chartered, or even if you're a senior building surveyor who's not chartered and you're ready to niche down, then I would go niche down. I wouldn't look straight away. Well, yes, actually no, let me not say that. Do both. Like, look, because you never know what can land on your table. They might look for a graduate who wants to specialize in asbestos from the jump. Bob's your uncle. But like, don't get upset if you can't niche down straight away. Just explore your options. Just the main thing about it is gaining experience. Gain experience, especially when you're entry level. Gain as much experience as you can. Get your hands dirty. Work on different things, because you might come across a niche you didn't even know that you're interested in. But that's beside the point. If you are dedicated to working in a specific niche, please just get your experience, get what you need, and then niche down later when the time's right for you. So in regards to like the interview process, I had a lot about like, oh, how can I stand out? How can I make these employers pick me? As I mentioned, work experience is going to be a great thing. Work experience in the industry, so construction and property, is going to be your best 2 options. The next best thing is confidence. One of my biggest letdowns was I was too shy. Even though I had the knowledge and I knew what I was talking about, my biggest letdown was me being shy. I let people always talk me. I let people speak. I only spoke when spoken to, or I'd only speak when it was like really quiet and no one else has anything else to add, and I'll be the last person to speak. That is one of the things that will probably get you cut short. Be confident in yourself. Answer and ask questions in your interviews, whether that's a group interview or one-to-one. What I will say is a lot of the graduate programs are group interviews, and if that's just not, or the early stages are group interviews, and if that's not your best strength, go for it, because you never know. But just be wary that you're going to probably have to step out your comfort zone and really like perform and outshine. Remember, you need them to recognize you, and that's not just like, oh, always over speaking people. You also need to come across like a team leader. You need to show that you are considerate of other people's opinions, other people's options. You need to be inviting. So one of the girls that was really good, who actually ended up getting the job, she would be like, oh, Twanaldn, like, do you have anything you want to add? She would invite me to speak in the conversation, so she never left me out. But then that just obviously made me look a little bit bad, because it's like, okay, cool, you would only speak when you was invited to speak. So again, be very confident. There's like, it's okay to get things wrong. Like, you are a graduate, do you know what I mean? I feel like there is this stigma that you need to know everything when you come out of university. That's far from the truth. Take what you've learned, and if you don't know, you don't know. Do you know what I mean? There's so much information that you have to cram into your head over the 3 or to the 5 years, and if you're not actively using that information, it could be easily be lost. And jobs know that, because we will all want in your shoes. So if you generally don't know, you generally don't know. And if they ask you to have an educated guess, generally take your time and have an educated guess. And if you generally still don't know, you generally still don't know. You're only human at the end of the day. So that's kind of my tips for like interviews. If you go to like a job interview where you're applying for just a graduate position, you're most likely going to get asked about your experience, your university, what you learn, and how you can apply that knowledge to that job, and anything in your background. So again, with me, I had health and safety. I was a health and safety advisor part-time, so I had that experience to add to my interview. I never got asked any technical questions, whether that was at AECOM or my current position. I didn't get asked no technical questions. I just did get asked about me as a person and how I work in teams. That was like a big thing. So yeah, I feel like that's a little bit of the difference when it comes to like a job interview and a graduate scheme. The next thing I will say about jobs as well is don't feel like you need to go apply for 110 jobs. What I would recommend is going to recruiters. Recruiters have clients who are looking for you, and they're just a middleman. So they have a client, they want a graduate building surveyor, you're looking for a graduate position. The consultant will put you two together. It takes you from surfing the net. It takes you from like going to pointless interviews that would never fool you. The recruiter does everything. They will literally take your details. They'll have a conversation for like 20-30 minutes in person or on the phone, depending on the recruiter, and they will get to know you and your needs. Then with all the clients that they have and all the job descriptions that they have, they will pick the best ones for you. So they'll consider pay, working from home, support, APC support, like all of these things that you want. They will go and find a job and put you and their client together, and they will do everything on your behalf. I feel like that's the best thing because it takes the pressure of you being on Indeed or LinkedIn or searching for all of these jobs and apply. Let the recruiters do it for you. Like to this day, I still get recruiters calling my phone. I'm not planning on leaving. I'm not even searching for a job. I get recruiters calling me, oh, are you considering a new position, higher pay, all of this? Do you know what I mean? As much as pay is an important factor, I'm too happy with where I am and I have no plans to leave. So again, take the pressure off yourself and let the recruiters do it for you. The best place to find recruiters, or they will find you, is Indeed or CV Library. CV Library is really good for like putting your CV out there and recruiters picking it up. Just make sure you have like keywords like building surveying in there and what you're looking for, and be a little bit realistic. Like even if like say you want 35k, maybe put it down to 33 and etc, and then so that people can find you. And even if they don't have a client right here right now, they'll take your details down, and because they have you on file with what you need and what you want, when that client pops up, they'll give you a call. That could be 2 days after you've spoken to them. That could be 2 weeks. It could be 2 months. You never know. But what I will say, there is a shortage of building surveyors. And the reason why I know that is because I get calls every single day of people trying to poach me from my company because of my experience that I have and how my background and how long I've been with my company. Recruiters will try to poach you. It's normal. And that's how I know there's a shortage, because if there's so many of us, I wouldn't be getting the calls that I'm getting. So there's definitely not enough building surveyors out there for the industry, and the industry is constantly growing. And the next thing I wanted to point out, because I've given this same advice, is when you do go for your interviews as a graduate, you're fresh out of university, do not be afraid to tell these companies what you need. Because as much as you're going there and applying for a role, they also need someone, do you know what I mean? So it works both ways. They're looking for someone, you need a job. So at the end of the day, you don't need to kind of see if you lot are compatible. So don't just think about them, and how can I impress them. Yes, that's obviously one side of the interview, but they also need to impress you. They also need to sell the job to you. What do they offer? What support do they offer? Do they have social events? Do they do APC support? How do they go about dealing with XYZ? Like if you've had certain scenarios, just ask these questions. Where do they see the company in 5 years? Like, what is your typical day going to look like in the office? Or do they offer working from home? Are they flexible? Like stuff that you need as an individual, ask them. My biggest thing was support, because without support, especially as a graduate, I feel like that's one of the biggest things, because you're very new to the industry. You don't have the like years of experience under your belt. You're literally fresh. You're a freshman. So if you don't have that support from a company, it's just going to feel like a drag. They don't give you that support that you need. They don't listen. They don't consider it. They don't take time out to teach you certain things. You're just going to get stressed. And then you're going to end up leaving that company. If you guys have any other questions that I have not addressed in this video, please feel free to comment down below, and either let me know if you want me to just address them in the comments, or if you would rather I do a dedicated AQ video where I just let you guys run wild with your queries and I address as much as I possibly can. And if I don't, or if I can't answer them, I am more than happy to speak to the senior members, the chartered surveyors in my company, directors, regional managers, anyone that's of a senior position who might be able to give feedback in terms of a comment. I can get from them. My colleagues are very, very friendly, and that's one thing I will say. I love my company, very supportive, very friendly, very understandable. I love the fact that they appreciate that you're a beginner and they don't have high expectations for you. They let you grow on your timing, and they don't pressure you to be a 10 when you are really a 5. And I'm not gonna lie, when I first got into it, I was like a 5 or 5. And I own that. Don't know, but one thing I will say, I was very much a quick learner, which my company can see, and now I'm thriving in my career. So I hope you found this helpful, and I hope this update was informative. I hope I just queries or gave you a little bit of insight as to what it's like to be a surveyor. I am going to do a separate video about being a woman in the construction industry. I didn't really want to dive into it today because when it comes to building surveying, it's a very male dominated industry, so I don't want my male followers or my male subscribers to, you know, watch all of that if it's not related to them at all. I will do a separate video dedicated to women who are interested in construction, building surveying, quantity surveying, whatever, and address what it's like, the realistic side of working as a woman in the construction industry. It's not scary. I'm not gonna scare you guys. However, you will see in that video. But again, if you like these kind of videos and you want to see more, I do have some vlogs coming, then definitely subscribe to my channel. The more you let me know you want to see these videos, the more I will produce. That's literally it. It's that simple. I know you guys want it. I'm gonna give it to you. So definitely like, definitely comment, definitely subscribe, and I will definitely catch you in my next one. Love you.